Hello and welcome. I'm Laura Briggs with the Vegan Fitness Runner podcast, where I'll be talking all things running, health and fitness, and what it means to be an active vegan.
Nikki Love, thank you so much for joining me. I'm a little bit in awe of you, actually, because I follow your running journey very keenly. And I just think some of the things you have done are amazing. And you're about to do something super amazing, which quite frankly floors me. So welcome and thank you for talking to me today.
Thank you, Laura. I'm really happy to be here, and it's exciting times, isn't it?
Really exciting. Nikki, for those of you that don't know about your running and your background and how you got into it, could you maybe just tell me a little bit about what got you running in the first place and a little bit about your slogan maybe, which is Chasing Extraordinary?
Right. Okay. So Chasing Extraordinary actually was something that I'd been using for a really long time. So my background is actually as a fitness pro, I guess you call me. I was a personal trainer, a running coach, sports massage therapy. I had this sort of system where I trained people, so I'd break them and fix them again. So to bring people in, train them, and then also help them when body parts hurt. So
fix them and break them up. I like that idea.
So I had always been a fitness professional, taking people from where they were to where they wanted to be. That involved the physical side of things, and the more clients I had, the more we worked together. The more I realised was that if I pushed them just a little bit more, I'd ask them, what do you want to do? Okay, we start there. What have you come to me for? And then as we got to know each other, I'd start pushing a little bit more. So what else do you think you could do? What else? What else? And think a little bit bigger, think a little bit braver, think a little bit more ambitious. And we started with the whole process of what would be your next level if you wanted to commit to something for the next 12 months. What would be your next extraordinary level? And keeping it very personal. And not comparing to anybody else, but just saying, okay, this is what I want to achieve, and then set out a plan to do it. And I realized that whilst I was doing this with other people, I had these dreams and goals and ambitions in my own life, and I was playing a little bit small. I was still doing what I wanted to do, but I had these hidden extraordinary things, and I'd put them a little bit on hold, and I finally decided that I am the coach who wants to walk the walk and talk the talk. So it was about time that I actually sort of said, okay, what are my dreams and goals and ambitions, and set to them. And that first thing was I'd been running. I've run pretty much my entire life, but I wanted to be a marathon runner. My first attempt at marathoning didn't go so well. I failed.
You had just had a baby, though, hadn't you, Nikki? Can I just interject there to say that was probably a reason?
There was that reason, and also the fact that I just didn't train as well. So I'll put it down to that as well. It was jumping in because I'd had a baby, and I sort of wanted to skip the steps of training and just throw myself back in, remembering what I was like before I got pregnant. And that didn't really work. So I figured, okay, you have to do the training. And I gathered myself and put the time in, put the effort in, set that intention, set the goal. And 6 months later, after failing, I did become a marathon runner, officially finishing my first marathon. And that from there, it was a bit of, okay, let's see what else I can do. Let's see what else I can do.
I mean, it's brilliant that you suddenly realised that you weren't pushing yourself as much as you wanted. But taking that first step and running a marathon and then suddenly thinking, okay, I'm going to run an ultra marathon, say, that's quite huge for what I would call maybe ordinarily thinking people. You know, a marathon in itself is massive. So what made you want to push yourself beyond a marathon?
That feeling of personal accomplishment. I really, really wish I could bottle that and make it into a perfume and then sell it, because it is just the best feeling, the best smell, the best sensation, and it's very addictive. So it was really okay, I was actually able to change that story, change the ending there. Can I do that again? I tried to go a little bit faster in my running, and sort of thought, actually, what do I like doing more than going faster? And it's the where can I go? How far can I go? And that was sort of the path that I wanted to choose, which was how can I incorporate the thing that I love about running, which is the adventure of running, and see maybe how far I can go. And so it became okay, how do I do that? I have to add distance or add complexity in days on the road, days running those distances. And that was sort of the path that I chose. Is I actually liked the idea of running a marathon or a little bit further than a marathon. And could I back it up the next day and the next day and the next day? And I'll be honest, I wasn't very good at that either. It really hurt when I started, and I didn't get it right the first time round. I had to learn a lot, but I used the same principle, which was, okay, what did I learn from that? How could I improve? Did I want to improve? Yes, I did. I wanted to make sure that story was the story that I wanted, which was me being able to do these things. So, I just set about trying to get better at the thing that I actually was enjoying doing and learning about. And there's a lot to learn.
Oh, absolutely. Which I suppose brings us perfectly actually to talking about this epic challenge that you have set for the 1st of May, which is to run across Australia, which blows my mind, and I'm sure it's going to blow everybody's mind that's listening. I'll just read out a few of the stats that actually you've popped on your website here. So Nikki's going to be running across Australia in 65 consecutive ultra marathons, which is a total distance of 2,450 miles. You're going to be starting in Perth and running to Sydney. And along the way, you're going to be hopefully picking up 2 Guinness World Records. You'll be the fastest female to cross Australia on foot, and it will also be the most consecutive ultramarathons run. Is that pretty much it in a nutshell?
That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Wow. How do you start? How do you even start with something like that? What's your thought process?
Right. So it came from, and this started back in 2013, where I watched somebody run across Australia. It was an English bloke. His name's Mark Ellison. And I watched him attempt to run across Australia during an Australian summer. And my first thoughts were, wow. Second thought was, I wonder if I could do that. Third thought is, if I do it, there's no way I'm doing it during an Australian summer. So I actually watched what he did. And so that process of learning and putting in changes, you can do that either through personal experience, or you can watch other people and think, okay, could I do that better? And that was a tweak that I thought, I've got control of that. At the time, I'd only ever run 7 marathons in 7 days. So the concept of 2,450 miles was beyond anything that I thought I could do. But I sat and watched somebody make it possible. So I thought, well, if he can, maybe I can do something like that too. It's taken 10 years and a lot of training runs to get to that point. But it was that seed that was planted. And what I hope is that I can plant a seed in somebody else's mind that whatever it is that they want to do is possible.
And this is what I love about you, Nikki, is that you just said to me, oh, I'd only ever run 7 marathons in 7 days before, which, to maybe somebody else listening is in itself an epic achievement. And of course it is. And that will make them think, well, hey, maybe I can do that. But that you then thought, across Australia, wow, that's possible. I can do that. And it's having that mindset, isn't it, of just thinking, do you know what? I'm not going to put barriers in front of me. I'm going to actually think of the reasons why I can do something. And you very much have that positive attitude about your running, and that actually, yes, you will get knocked down, but you will get back up again and you can do it. I mean, this, not just mentally, but physically as well, getting to the start line of this adventure, it's taken a few ups and downs, hasn't it? And it's certainly put you in front of some challenges. I know that you've done some challenges prior to this one, and some of them haven't been maybe as successful as you'd hoped, but it's all about that journey and getting you to the 1st of May to do this run, isn't it?
Absolutely. There's so many barriers that you can come across. So when I do talk to groups of people, especially women, they will list quite a lot of comments, thoughts of other people that hold them back. And it's true that people can give you a great big long list, an inventory of all the reasons why they don't think it's possible. But what you have to then assess is that their thoughts? Is that their opinions? What do you believe? And then there's the reality as well, which is that I have had some obstacles that I've had to deal with as a woman who is about to turn 56. I have gone through perimenopause, and in the last couple of years, that process has kicked my butt in more ways than one. It ended with it didn't end. It's still in. I'm still in this process. But one of my failures to complete an adventure was to attempt 100 marathons in 100 days, and in the process I ended up with a broken bottom, shall we say. I had a problem with my pelvis.
I saw a video of that actually, Nikki. I saw you put something up on social media when you did that, and you were broken. Your pelvis, it was a broken pelvis essentially, wasn't it? And it was from, like you say, perimenopause, a lot of, kind of diet factors, and the fact that you put your body under so much pressure. But what you've managed to do is kind of work your way through what a lot of people would see as, almost like a final straw. But you haven't looked at it in any way like that. You've worked with your body, and you've got yourself to a level now where you're ready for running across Australia despite that.
Well, this is one of my I think it's an asset. No, I don't say think. I know it's an asset. Is this process that I go through, which is, what did I learn from it? Okay, it didn't go well. Okay, I accept that. What can I learn from it? How can I make changes? What can I make changes to? What have I got control of? Can I improve? And that's a process that I learnt and keep learning. And have tried to put into everything that I do. Sometimes, I've tried that, and I've had to accept that perhaps, everything that I've learnt has still brought me to this place of this isn't for me. But I've given everything I've got, and I still believe that my ability to run, I've just had to learn a lot about my body, specifically to me, what works and what doesn't work, and how I could improve it. And then throw all of that into the mix. And if I didn't go for this, implement changes and then give it another go, then I'm kind of missing a step. So there was many times and when I thought maybe that's it, as you said, but I do want to give this a go. I have to go into it with a strong body, strong mind. I believe that that's where I'm at, and I'm going to give it the best shot that I've got.
Absolutely right. Well, we're all absolutely rooting for you. I mean, like you say, you must have learned so much about your body through this process, both mentally and physically. And I guess as a woman as well, we do face, you know, perhaps a few more challenges than male runners in terms of, you know, the body is going through the menopause when we reach a certain age. And not just that as well, the people looking at you from outside, I think as a woman as well, maybe there are a few more pressures on us, you know, to do certain things within life, or, you know, maybe running across Australia or running an ultramarathon. Some people's minds might be saying, well, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing other things, you know, more fitting of a female role potentially. Have you come up across, you know, any of those kind of views throughout your training?
I sure have. I have been told many times, the woman part of me. So being a mother, that I should have to consider my children before me, or who's going to look after the kid when I'm doing these things, and that's more a question that you get asked as a woman rather than as a man. I have recently been told I'm the wrong demographic, as in I am too old. For certain brands.
This was for sponsorship, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, I saw this, that you'd you know, reached out for sponsorship for this particular event, and I saw that you'd been knocked back a few times, and the reasoning, you know, behind it essentially is that, and I'm sorry to say this because, you know, I feel it's totally wrong, is that you're apparently too old, which devastates me as a woman in her 40s. I think what you're doing is insanely amazing, and that actually you are a real role model for women. So why the heck shouldn't people get behind you and back you even more so? This is what we need more of, isn't it? People to aspire to.
This is a platform that as much as I want to be thought of on my merits, it just I have to fight twice as hard to be seen, be heard, and I want that to not be the case. I want women to be able to say this is what I'm doing and not be judged.
Absolutely. It made me feel really angry actually reading that, because I don't know, again, we hold up, you know, the young athletes, quite rightly, you know, we have to encourage young people, absolutely. But it's almost like, oh, women have a shelf life. You know, when you get to a certain age, oh, we're just not going to bother, you know, being impressed by you anymore, which it should be the other way round. The fact that you're still running and at such a high level, 70s, however old that is, I think that's more impressive the older you get. Yet if you had a man, you know, of a similar age, it doesn't seem to matter. And I don't want to make this a gender argument in any way, but it is a really interesting topic, I think. You know, as two female ultra runners here, I think we do come across that kind of you know, opinion far more so than a male runner would.
So I have a process, and when I go into primary schools and I talk to kids, And I say, when you get told that you can't do something, it's okay. It's somebody else's opinion, but secretly say to yourself, or even loudly say to yourself, it's okay. That's your thoughts. Just watch me. And leave it at that, really, and go and do the thing. Because actions really do speak very loud.
Absolutely. And then when people see that you are out there and you are doing these things and they think, do you know what? I should have backed her when I had the chance. That's how I hope this plays out anyway. Nikki, we talked about you, learning more about your body and how you treat your body going forward and, in your recovery process and in your training. Have you incorporated any kind of tweaks in your diet or taking supplements or anything like that that you think has benefited your training?
Absolutely. So one of the things I had to learn about was my gut absorption. And having issues around that. And again, that is perimenopausal driven. With the decreasing in estrogen production, it impacts everything throughout your body. And it turned out that I was having issues actually absorbing the things that I was putting into my body. So I was taking some hormone replacement medication, but my body didn't seem to be taking it in. So we started there with looking at how to improve my gut absorption. So I put it down to, I think most ultra runners will tell you a poo story or two.
We love a poo story.
We have a poo story or two. And I actually put it down to, okay, I'm doing these extreme distances. I am going to have a few poo incidences. But actually, I was curious why I seemed to be the only person who was having such extreme difficulties with it, and period issues. And it was actually perimenopause related. My periods were getting heavier. I had extreme diarrhea, and that was leading to iron deficiencies, and then that impacts absorption, gut absorption, and it just kept on layering one thing on top of the other, and so taking probiotics, looking at the diet and thinking about the foods that were good and or better for me. So I really don't like sauerkraut, but sauerkraut is one of my friends apparently.
Oh, okay. So pickled cabbage.
Yeah, fermented foods high on my list, and processed foods. They obviously not good for anybody really. The really heavy processed foods, it wasn't that I had a lot of them, but I had to really sort of cut back on everything and try to make it as natural as possible. I do eat a lot of vegetables, but I had to concentrate on putting more in there. I had to take iron, calcium, vitamin D, vitamin K, to get all my blood markers back up to what is the range that you really
kind of an ideal level, I suppose.
An ideal level, yeah. And then just keep working on it from there. It's a process, and it's just being far more aware of what's going on the inside, and a way that we can do that is either you feel it, but also taking blood markers. It took me a long time to get heard at the GP that I wasn't feeling right, that the symptoms were showing up, and that perhaps I should get some blood tests taken. And in the end, I actually did it privately, to see from the inside out. And that's what I've been working on. I pulses and lentils and all the things that I probably wouldn't be my first choice of foods. I had to bring them in, and I'm working on it, still working on it, and I still do like my hot cross buns at the moment. Hot cross buns are my favourite thing.
It's really hard to steer clear from processed food, isn't it? I think, all of us are guilty. Even if we know maybe what's good for us, we still, convenience wins a lot of the time, and we'll reach for the processed stuff. But like you said, I suppose it's really thinking about upping the more nutritional items and the fruit and the veg, and getting a lot of that in you. But you had to fight quite hard, it sounds to me, to get just, simple blood tests taken by the GP, which, seems a little bit strange, that you had to go privately to find all this stuff out. Obviously, things have happened now that have improved your life. So it was the right path for you to go down to check all this stuff out. Why do you think you had to fight so hard?
Without, I guess, bagging on the NHS and the GPs, what they didn't understand was what I was doing. So again, this comes down to, okay, I have chosen to be an ultra runner, an adventure runner, and an author and a speaker, and that's what I do for a living. And the GP said, well, stop it. I'm like, but that's what I do for a living.
No.
And he's like, no, it's a hobby. Okay. No, it's not. And it really was that those barriers that I've had to face, is that they haven't taken me seriously as somebody who is an athlete, whether I'm paid by a brand, or I'm part of the GB team. That's when I would qualify as a professional athlete.
But what you do is what you do. It is your job. It is your career. It is who you are, isn't it? Essentially, it's very much part of your identity. So for somebody to say, oh, that thing that you identify with as an ultra runner, by the way, just stop that. You can't do that, can you? You have to take a holistic view and think, right, this person wants to run ultra marathons. They're going to do that. How can we best facilitate them in their journey? And I think there has to be more awareness, really, of the symptoms that do happen through perimenopause and menopause as well, and just what happens to your body as you get older, and how we can best support that so that you can keep doing what you love. I mean, surely doctors are always on about exercise, aren't they? So they want you to keep moving, they want you to keep exercising, so we should be supporting that.
Yeah. It has to, there is a fine line, and I obviously understand that I'm not the norm, and that's what they're catering for. And if I'm not going to be in the norm, then I have to take responsibility for that. So yes, I did go private to find the best answers, the best solutions for me. And I'd like to sort of, that wasn't the case. But if I do talk to women in particular, I say, get regular blood tests where you can watch your markers, and you can tell whether there's something going on. And maybe be a bit more proactive. And it would be fantastic if the if the NHS system was more proactive rather than reactive. But again, that's a massive topic and undertaking, and I don't think they are ever going to be in that position to be able to do that. So.
No, and of course we appreciate everything the NHS does. I suppose it's just the choice we made to run ultra distances is perhaps, like you say, a little bit out of the norm in some respects. Continuing on, out of the norm, let's talk a little bit more about your run across Australia, because I know that's what loads of people want to hear all about. So what do you kind of foresee as your biggest challenge within this epic challenge itself? Are there parts that you are concerned about in particular, or are you just going to kind of take it one day at a time? What's your strategy?
Okay, so I look at the realistic timeframes that I've got. So I am slow. I have tried to work hard at getting faster, but I just am not fast. I am slow. And to run the distance that I have to run per day is 60 kilometres. I know that on a good day, that's going to take me, close to about 8 hours. And that's a good day. On an average day, it's probably going to be something along the lines of 9 hours. On a bad day, it could be a lot longer. And I have good days and bad days. And I'm still going through a hormonal cycle. So yeah, there's if anybody, women in particular, have had their run during their hormone cycles, you have up days and you have down days. You have high energy, you have low energies. But having to run 60 kilometres per day is that you have to manage those less than ideal days. So that's my biggest sort of concern, is that the time frame or the time that I'm running across Australia from the 1st of May, hopefully with an end date of the 2nd of July, that's the target. I'm running into their winter, and the daylight hours are actually about 10 hours. So I'd basically be using all of the daylight hours to move my little feet from one side of the country to the other.
So you'd be running all day long, basically.
Yeah. And whilst I'm okay with the whole idea that there is going to be creepy crawlies and the like, my partner Sharif, who is my crew, who is my everything. He does everything. He's a little bit worried about snakes, spiders, and all that potential stuff. But I've promised him that he will be okay. I don't know if I can hold that promise, but.
But you've obviously briefed him on all the things to look out for, like check his shoes for things like black widows and stuff like that, I guess. Good old shout out to Sharif.
The upside of that time of year is also that there is less activity going on. So there's less snakes, and hopefully less kangaroos crossing our paths at dusk. So that's when the kangaroos tend to come out. So I'm more concerned about him driving and crashing into a kangaroo than me.
Is that a big thing? I mean, that wouldn't have been my, the thing that jumped into my mind immediately, actually, was that a kangaroo would be the biggest concern of this run.
Yeah. The road is strewn with dead carcasses of kangaroos that tend to come out. Their prime time is sunrise and sunset, and they just seem to bounce out of nowhere. And can really damage a car. I think running, I should be fine.
It depends how fast you're running, Nikki, I guess.
Oh, of course, yes. And the other thing is the big train trucks or the motor, the big trucks that come by. They carry, or they have four. What do you call those things on the back of them? They're not just like one big truck.
Like a carriage.
Yeah, they have a carriage of four bits at the back, so they call them trains, road trains.
Wow.
They are big, but I also am very aware of them. So, and we've put a call out to the Truckers Association in Western Australia and South Australia, and told them to look out for a crazy lady, and if they see me, give me a little bit toot of the horn. So hopefully that will be enough to stop them from.
That'll give you a lift. Yeah.
So there's always being out in the middle of nowhere is a little bit of worry, because and in some parts it is a good 24 hours away from help. And so we have to be comfortable that could happen, but that's what planning is all about. But all in all, I think it is meant to be a fun adventure, and I hope that there are more fun days and there is a lot more smiles than there is tears. There will be tears, but I've learned enough over the years to know that there is many more upsides and fun times and opportunities to lark about as well as run. So that's the goal.
I get the impression from most of your adventures, Nikki, actually, that what you get out of it is joy and fun, and that's kind of your main reason for doing it. So I can imagine you and Sharif are going to have a lot of up times as well as the down times.
Absolutely. I wouldn't do it if there wasn't an essence of joy there. And I think that's how I've managed to do everything that I have done, because fundamentally, I'm there. I love running. I'm having a great time, and occasionally you have to go through a bit of a rough patch, but the main thing is how much fun I have.
And that's, I think, what a lot of people aspire to when they watch you and your journey. Talking of other people, can they get involved in any way? How can people support you with this run?
Okay, so I am actually asking for help. Try as hard as I did, I haven't got any big brand backing or sponsorship, and so we are putting a crowdfunder together. And what we've hopefully done is put a list of rewards, incentives to get involved. We've made some stickers. This one I like, and I hope that people will sort of get involved in this one, is sending a postcard from the road. So I would be buying postcards along the way and sending them out, and hopefully I can write.
I was going to say, as if you haven't given yourself enough to worry about, you're now going to be writing postcards along the way. That's just another element of crazy, isn't it?
I really hope that that A, I can write, and B, that that sort of that somebody will think that that's a cute thing to get involved with. So yes, that's the goal. Is we've got a crowdfunder, and if anybody does want to help a crazy little lady run across Australia, then that's a way to do it. But also just social media shout outs and cheering me on, because you know what, when people cheer, it is the best feeling, and it's not just cheering me, it's sharing your story as well. So it's telling me that you've gone out to run today because I was out running as well. I mean, that lifts me so much. We have been in so many schools. We've got over 100 over 100 primary schools currently running across Australia. I get to hear the stories of the kids going out and telling me why they're out running across Australia. They're doing it virtually, but they totally believe that, that they are running across Australia in a format. So I get to hear those stories, and they push me on. And I just, if there's any way of just cheering, shouting out, passing on the information, maybe getting involved in the crowdfunder, then all of those things really sort of help me and keep me going. And I'd appreciate any kind of support like that.
Well, we'll all be supporting you, that's for sure. In terms of inspiring the next generation, Nikki, that's something that you really strive to do, isn't it? I know you do loads of speaking in schools, you've written a book, and, children are, really a big boost for you, aren't they? When you see that they want to be like you or they want to go out for a run, that really gives you a boost. How do you do that? Do you go around schools and give talks, or do you, just hope that kids will start running when they see what you're doing? Is there any kind of thing that you do specifically to help children get involved with running?
I do go to schools, and schools can either get in contact with me directly, and actually that's probably the easiest way, is to get in contact with me direct. I go to schools, and then I ask the schools to, pass on my information, so that the next school might want to invite me in. And I have been working with a charity called Marathon Kids UK, and we together go into schools and get the kids running. Kids run anyway, but what we do is sort of, if we show that if you add one day to the next day to the next day, actually you end up running quite far. And then that thought gets planted. Actually, you know what? And we start using the term, can run a marathon. Okay, the kids might take a few weeks of running a kilometre or a mile a day, but those weeks add up. And then all of a sudden you say, okay, well, I've run a marathon, and that becomes part of your vocabulary. You are a marathon runner. And that builds confidence. It builds belief, and then you take that forward with you. So this is what we do with school kids: is get them to keep going and keep trying, and add things up. And when you add things up, you see what you're capable of achieving. So it's a different way of looking at it. Don't have to do it all in one go, but step by step, you build, and you build your character as well. So that's what I try and do with school kids. And the other thing, and this is the thing that I get out of going into schools, is that if I say to a child, okay, I'm going to run across Australia, it's like, okay, great. Okay, how are you doing it? And of course you are. Go into an adult, and it's like, are you sure? I go into a school and I say, I'm going to run across an ocean. And they go, yeah, okay. And I say that to an adult, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know how you're going to do that. Kids believe, and they have the imagination. And if you can keep that inside of your head, keep that childlike imagination and curiosity that something is possible, then you start throwing ideas around, and you go, okay, I can do that. So I get as much out of going into a classroom full of kids as hopefully they get out of me going in there and saying, okay, with my curiosity, with my ambition, I was able to do this. I can't wait to see what you guys get to do when you get older.
I love that. It's harnessing that childlike curiosity and belief that you really can do anything.
Yeah.
And making sure that you don't forget that, and you don't dampen that down with all those kind of external negatives that we're so used to doing, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. And what better way of getting kids involved and going and talking to them and showing them exactly what you're doing, which, let's not forget, is about to run across Australia. So let's just remind everybody, 1st of May, that's when you set off, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're looking at a total of 2,450 miles Perth to Sydney, and we are rooting for you. This will be 2 Guinness World Records, and it'll be the fastest female to cross Australia on foot, which is just insane, Nikki. If people want to find out a little bit more about your challenge, what you're doing, then you've got a website, haven't you? nikkilove.co.uk. So people can go on there, can't they, and find out how they can get involved. And social media as well. I know that you use that as well, so people can find out lots about you. I think what you're doing is amazing, and I wish you every success with it. We will be following your journey keenly. Nikki, you have to come back and tell us how you got on as well at the end. Will you do that for us?
Absolutely, Laura, absolutely.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I hope to catch up with you very soon, Nikki. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening, and don't forget to leave a review for the Vegan Fitness Runner podcast. Please subscribe if you don't want to miss an episode, and remember you can find out more about all my guests and further information on all the topics covered over on the website veganfitnessrunner.com. Thanks again, and bye for now.